Hi you guys, it is I, the Concrete Catwalk, and for those of you who are returning to my channel, welcome back. For those of you who are brand new and just tuning into my channel, hi, I am a reseller who sells gently loved pre-owned items on Poshmark, and I want to say for those of you who are just signing in for the first time, welcome. If you like my content, then please do a few things. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please tap that bell so that you can get notifications because I post videos every Sunday. So you don't want to miss out on any other content that I have. I specifically talk about thrifting and resale. And for those of you, my catwalkers, I love you all. And thank you for tuning back into my channel. So before I go any further, also, if you don't mind, please head over to Instagram. I do post occasionally, usually during the week there. So if you want to follow me there, if you want to DM me there, you can. Oh, and also, if you're interested in something that I have listed in my Poshmark closet, you can feel free to reach out to me there or on Poshmark as well, so we can talk about it and you can get your hands on it before somebody else does. But anyway, today I'm going to talk about something interesting related to thrifting and reselling of items, and what that is the language that goes on behind what it is when you work on a listing for reselling. There was a whole lot of abbreviations and a whole lot of things that I wasn't familiar with, and I think when you start looking for stuff or some things you're interested in and you start seeing all these abbreviations like, you know, B, N, W, T, you're like, what is that? What is this? Or if someone is like, you know, IDK, I don't know, whatever. So long story short, we're gonna get into it. And as I go through this, I'm just going to talk about a few, but those are the ones that typically people would use the most, and especially if you're in this virtual flea market, thrift, resale world, then I think that there would be things that you'd want to be familiar with. So sometimes when you start looking at items, and I don't really care what it is, it could be dresses, it could be furniture, whatever you're into, whatever you do, whatever you sell, but sometimes I'd see a AFAIK acronym, and I did not know. It means as far as I know, which means to the best of this person's ability, as far as they know, the item is whatever, 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 as they've described. So the first is AFAIK, which is as far as I know. News to me, but there you go. And when I share these things with you, you know, it's just for informational purposes only. Typically, like I say with my channel, this is my learning curve too, and it's just advice that I want to share with you guys, and what you do with it is what you do with it. So yeah, when you venture into this whole journey of selling items, specifically for the turnover, a lot of the times people are like, oh, you know, how fast can you get it to me? And you're like, ASAP. And you know, I always forget, there's always people who are new to this world of buying online. And so when I put something in a description, if I say ASAP and somebody comes back to me and says, I don't know what that is, you know, I'm just telling them, okay, as soon as possible. I'm going to ship it to you as soon as possible. Or if someone asks the question, how soon can you ship it to me? And I say ASAP, then they're like, what does that mean? And granted, it's no judgment. Just because I know what it is, I don't assume that someone else would know. So I graciously answer the question. So I simply tell them it means as soon as possible. So sometimes people will come and they'll be like, you know, oh, can you bump my post? And I'm like, what does that, what? Bump my post? What do you mean? Meaning bring up my post, meaning, hey, can you push it forward so that other people can see it? That's what a bump is. It's someone who, if you're especially on a site, whatever, it could be yard sales, it could be whatever, and you have a person who makes that comment because they want to bump their post up to the front. That's what a bump is. So anyway, it's very interesting how all of the dynamics with thrifting and the things that go into the language that we all eventually will learn how to speak or, you know, involve in listings. It's kind of crazy. It's like you have to, and I don't care what platform you're on, if you're on like one specifically geared towards, you know, e-commerce, or if you're doing it where it's kind of like an offer up or whatever it is, and you decide you want to sell, you have to get familiar with how people speak. And I think that a lot of the times, once you've been in that whole world and you start doing it on a regular, you do make the assumption that everybody is familiar with all the different abbreviations or lingo, if you will. And I'm not talking just on the buyer side, I'm talking with all the sellers, and that's not the case. So for me personally, I try to limit the amount of language that or abbreviated language that I include in my listings, unless it's kind of like what I would consider like universal. And I am not in any way saying that that's a perfect science or that's something that you should do. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just simply saying that for me, I find that it cuts down on a lot of the confusion. If I find an item and it is BNWT, which is what I was saying earlier, bought new with tags, I specifically spell it out first, and then I'll maybe parentheses and say BNWT. Or I'll say, you know, new without tags, you know, NWT, and I'll spell that out too, so that there is no confusion for who's ever coming on the page, because a lot of the times I found in the past that it does result in a lot of questions, a lot of back and forth. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but I think it's better when you do a listing, you can also provide an education for whoever is looking at the listing. And then maybe for other sellers who want to be able to get an understanding of how to use it, and they may be looking for that reason. So I don't care. I think that for myself, if I can share any information that I have or share anything that I did not know, and I think that it would be beneficial for others to know, then I do that. I typically do that. But anyway, let's continue on with this. So another one that I wasn't familiar with was AO. AO is all original. So especially for like vintage items, you can describe it, you know, AO, it's all original. So if it's a dress that came from the 40s and it's legit what it is, it's an AO. It's all original. You know, it's like an original production of this item. It's not a reproduction. So I think that a lot of the times in listings, there's one particular word that I'm kind of always usually uncomfortable with using. That word is fair, or FC, fair condition. I think that that is very subjective, very subjective to the person who has the item. You can think it's in fair condition, but the person who receives it could think that it's in very good condition. Or I could think it's in fair condition, and the person that looks at it could think, or they decide that they want to buy it and they receive it, could think this is just in shitty condition and I want to return it. So I try to stay away from anything that's middle of the road, and I typically tend to lean toward, if it's in fair condition, I say it's in well used or less than well used condition, if you will, meaning it's not on the level of being good, it's not at being fair, it's been well used. And I let the person decipher at that point by asking questions. Well, what does that mean? Well, it has, you know, substantial stains, it has substantial whatever. And, you know, believe it or not, some people are into that. They don't want something that's in pristine, perfect, I just got it off the shelf, even though it's been in somebody's closet situation. A lot of people are looking for things that have been used and have character. So yeah, for me, the word fair, I try to stay away from, and I just try to get directly to the point with the particular item and its circumstances, because I think that translates a lot better. But again, you know, it's all in the language, it's all in the verbiage, but fair, is exactly that. It's just short for fair condition. So again, it's language. It's language. A lot of the times, I find that in this whole resale world, how you describe things and how you relay to your audience about this particular item it's critical to how people are going to make a decision about it. So when you get into that whole realm of excellent used condition or very good used condition, the VGUC, you better be concise about why you think it's in excellent condition and show descriptives to match it along with that language. Or you better be prepared for somebody who, once they receive that item and they are not really happy about it, going sometimes ballistic. Just saying. So excellent used condition, I typically reserve for things that have all the tags attached, have never been on the body before. They may have been on it may have been on a mannequin, or the shoes may have been a display, or they may have been a part of something but not worn. Okay, great. Excellent used condition. For things that are in good used condition, I typically try to look to define those items as things that have been gently worn. It's not even falling right under excellent used condition. They are things that have been pre-loved, meaning they've been handled, they've been worn, they may have a little bit of wear and tear, but lightly. So I try to be very distinct in using those lingos or descriptions to meet wherever that particular item is. But like I said, if it's in excellent used condition, it's everything attached, never been touched, never been on any physical body before. That is in good used condition is something that has been, but it's just been gently pre-loved. So yeah, I think that as you go through this, you'll find the lingo and the language that works for you, but I do suggest that you definitely get very comfortable with using the vernacular, because it does cut down on a lot of the back and forth that you have with questions from folks who are interested in your item, and it also helps with how you lay out your description of the item, because I think excellent used condition and all those other things that you can use to define something, it all helps with the relationship that you create with it, with the pictures that you lay down in the listing with regards to the item. So it's not complex, but it can be complex if you don't take it and define it the way that it should be defined. And mind you, I just kind of gave you like a little bit of overview just to get familiar, but all you have to do is go out to the World Wide Web and look for abbreviations that would suit you best in how you're describing your item, and also for your own knowledge and education, so you can get familiar with what it is that you are introducing into your listings that's going to basically make sense to whomever is looking at it. But anyway, this is a really short, just a FYI kind of thing, if you will, just to say, hey, this is what you can potentially use when you're doing your listings. And I just wanted to share it with you guys. But anyway, I want to thank you all for stopping by to take a look. And I want to say, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Leave me in the comments below some of the things you use in your listings. And I will see you guys next Sunday. Thank you all very much. I love you all, and I will see you next week. Bye.